Hey guitar players, it's Sean and welcome to today's video. This is part 4 of the Triad series, and this is the final video, and we're going to be talking about sus chords or suspended chords, so sus2 and sus4 chords. Now, if this is the first video you've seen in the Triad series, I highly recommend you go back and check out the previous 3 videos talking about major chords, minor chords, diminished and augmented. The links are below. So suspended chords or sus chords, what exactly is the deal with those? I mean, a lot of times when we first start playing guitar, you know, one of the first chords we learn is the good old D chord, right? Like that. And then somebody shows us, I think it was like my cousin or something, kind of showed me how to go with my pinky like that and do this miraculous chord, right? And then there was this other thing where I took this finger off and the first string was open. And then, you know, later you learn that these are what are known as suspended chords. So this one being, of course, like regular D, right? This is D sus or suspended 4, and then of course sus2. Okay, so let's talk about sus chords. So we're going to stick with the key of D or the D chord here. So as you may recall, a D chord or any chord, triad, consists of 3 notes, and it's the root note, the 3rd note, and the 5th note drawn from the scale, or it can be thought of as 2 whole steps from the root note to the 3rd, or 1.5 steps from that 3rd to the 5th, or 3.5 steps from the root note to the 5th. Now, what's going on with a suspended 2 chord is rather than have the 3rd note of the scale, we have a root note, we have the 2nd note of the scale, and the 5th note of the scale. So what's going on in this case, it's D, E, and A, so it's 1 whole step from the root note to the 2nd, and 2.5 steps from that 2nd to the 5th, and it's still 3.5 steps from the root note to the 5th. Now, as for the sus4 chord, we have the root note, and instead of that 3rd, we use the 4th note of the scale, and then the 5th. So it's like a D to a G to an A, and it's 2.5 steps from the root to the 4th, and it's 1 whole step from that 4th note to the 5th, and of course 3.5 whole steps from the root note to the 5th. Now, because these chords don't have the 3rd note of the scale in them, they are not major or minor. So what's going on is what's known as their tonality is suspended. So the chord is not major and the chord's not minor. It's kind of a, well, who knows? It's suspended, giving them, of course, quite a unique sound, and they are quite versatile. All right, so let's take a look at our triads. We've been doing 12 for each type with their inversions and everything, and let's convert them to sus2 and sus4 chords. But just before we do, if you're enjoying this content, would you mind liking and subscribing to my channel? And please leave me comments. Let me know if there's anything you'd like covered in the future. Thanks so much in advance. Let's get down to it. All right, suspended 2 or sus2 chords. So we would have root position, we'd have C, D, and G. It would looks like that. So that is C sus2 root position. And then when we get to our first inversion, so we've got our C, G, there's our D right there. That's first inversion. And then we would have our second inversion. Our C is on our 2nd string. There's our 2 on the 1st string, and then the 5th on the 3rd string. All right, strings 2, 3, and 4. So we've got our C, D, and G. It's a little bit of a stretch, but it's doable. So that's C sus2, root position. And then I've got my first inversion, so my C is jumped up to my 2nd string here at the top of the chord. There's my D, there's my G. And then second inversion, I've got the C, the D, and the G. Looks like so. So that's C, sus2, second inversion. And now onto strings 3, 4, and 5. So I've got my C, my D, and my G. And they're both open, so if I play that up the octave, looks and sounds like so. And then first inversion, so I've got my C up on the top of the chord here. I got my D, my 2nd, and then I've got my G. Kind of looks like an A chord, if you will. And then second inversion, I've got my G, my C, and my D right there. So that's second inversion. And now on to strings 4, 5, and 6. So we've got C, D, and the G, and that's root position. And then I've got my D, so that's my second there. There's my root, there's my fifth, like so, or when I get fancy, go over the top like that. And then my second inversion. So I've got my C right here, I got open D, and I got my G, like so, or way up here. Okay, and now for suspended 4 or sus4 chords. So here's a C major chord to start off with, so I'd go up to the 4th, like so. So that's root position, and then my first inversion, and then my second inversion. And everybody's, I bet you're super familiar with this, because if, way back when you first learned how to play D, one of the first things you probably learned to do to fancy it up was to do that, which is the sus4 chord. Okay, now strings 2, 3, and 4. So this is my C major to sus4. First inversion, so I raise that third to the 4th, so that's first inversion. And then I have my second inversion, like so, just raise that, and that is second inversion, sus4. And now strings 3, 4, and 5. So I've got my C root position, and now it is sus4, C, sus4 root position. And then I've got my first inversion, like so. And then I've got my second inversion, like that. And now strings 4, 5, and 6. So I've got my root position, my first inversion, and my second inversion. Okay, so a really great way to practice up sus chords is, you can take either a major or a minor. I'll take a major in this case. I'll do C major here. Here's my root position. And a really cool thing to do is you just kind of play your starting chord, your major, make it like a sus4, maybe go back, and then go to the sus2, and then return from where you came. And of course you can do that with minor, right? Okay, and then you just kind of do that with all your inversions. So there you are, there's suspended chords. That's a lot of stuff in 4 videos, because we've covered major, minor, diminished, augmented, sus2, and sus4. And all of these chords that we've been doing, besides looking at the theoretical part of it, the way that we've been playing them have been what are known as closed voicings, or in other words, all of the notes are right beside each other and we don't have any repetitions. So we haven't even talked about taking things like this is a C chord, for example, and maybe instead of having like the 5th here, we place it down there. So we spread apart those chords or those notes to create different chords and voicings. So there's a huge, huge world out there of possible ways to play any chord on the guitar, and it requires a bit of time, a bit of patience, and my recommendation is try not to get caught up too much in all the stuff, and if something isn't working for you, then it's not working for you. There's other ways to do it. So exploring is such a great thing to do on the guitar daily, and it just never ends. I mean, I've been playing guitar a long time, and I'm still amazed at the things that come out of the instrument. Okay, so good luck with that, and I hope you got something out of it, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.